Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's percolating. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Java. Percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip it with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, and welcome to the Java Cafe. You are in this morning for a very, very, very important conversation. It's personal to me. I know a lot of people that this conversation will apply to, from being entrepreneurs to being a Black entrepreneur, women entrepreneurs. I think a lot of what we're going to experience today can be applied to anyone that's an entrepreneur, but there's a perspective that our guest has today as a Black woman that will speak to many of us as Black entrepreneurs and then being a Black woman entrepreneur. And so it is We Need to Know Wednesday. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and please go ahead and share this episode. I would encourage you to tag an entrepreneur because there are going to be great nuggets that come out of this conversation today. We need to know that we need to support our entrepreneurs, but then also for our inner circles and those that are around, and I have quite a few. Had to utilize a couple of them this morning. Those family members and friends, from liking and sharing their content to their products to checking in on them and asking them just how they're doing, because there's a different experience you have when it comes to maintaining your mental wellness. And then if you even observe and pay attention to if you're going through some sort of mental health challenge or mental illness. And let's just own that some of our entrepreneurs, may have some diagnoses or whatever. So there's a whole bunch that comes with being an entrepreneur and then being Black. And in this particular case, being a woman. And I'm so excited to have this expert here. It's been a long time coming, but as I say often, I believe timing is everything. And I told my guest in the pre-talk as we were getting ready to go live this morning, Jesus has a way of affirming for you sometimes when the subject is apropos and right. And so do me a favor, go ahead again, hit that like and subscribe button and get ready to welcome into the Java Cafe, Dr. Charmain Jackman, who is no stranger to the Java Cafe. We've been in spaces, but we finally got her here, and the finally is really based on me. So Dr. Jackman, I see you nodding in.
No, everything in its time, man. Everything in its time. Yeah, everything in its time.
I am
This is my second Java
You were here before?
back in the COVID era.
Yes. Okay. So apropos. And, we are coming up on, I don't know if we are coming up on a 6-year acknowledgement, of this period, this platform as well. You know what I mean? We started in COVID. And so I think that that's just most appropriate to mention. But I thought it was your first time. I still feel bad for the delay, but at least, we know you were here before. So it removes the guilt. 0.8%. But welcome. It is
Thank
We Need to
you.
Know Wednesday. This is a Your Healthy Java segment, and I'm glad to have you here. And so let's just jump right in. And let me ask you to please greet the folks, say good morning. And then I would ask you generally, and there'll be a couple of questions here. We're going to get a few words from Dr. Jackman this morning. How would you describe the state of Black mental health in whichever context you would like to describe that? And then we got a couple more questions for you. So good
Okay.
morning and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Excited to be here. I am Dr. Charmain Jackman. I'm the founder of InnoPsych, and always love talking about mental health, talking about entrepreneurship. This is like my love language, Jimmy. So let's get to it. And my first word, how would I describe the state of Black mental health? I would say it's evolving.
Someone I think used that word recently. I had a clinician on and they referred to it that way as well. And so I'm going to ask you another word. Generally, you say it's evolving. You are, well, I'll save that for the third part. As a Black person, would you apply that same word for entrepreneurs? What would be a word?
Can I use 2 words?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I would say it's a journey, right? It's a journey. It can be humbling.
So that's 3, and we'll leave that right. It can be humbling. Absolutely. And then I want to ask another perspective. We know that recently it was cited that Black women were, prior to this administration, one of the largest numbers of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so I would ask you, you said it's evolving generally. For Black people, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Now factor in being a Black woman entrepreneur. What word would you apply for the state of our mental health and being, entrepreneur?
Yeah. I would say it's been educational.
Okay.
It's an educational journey. It's an evolving educational journey.
You put that together real well, Dr. Jackman. You put that together real well. And so, you have points of reference to talk about where you are presently as an entrepreneur and a Black woman, but what has molded you, a little bit of your story, what has molded you to be in this space? And then we're going to talk about, you're a clinician.
Yeah.
And, in these times, 9 to 5, 8 to 6, you have an understanding or you have a familiarity of steady income. And we've learned recently that you've stepped into entrepreneurship full time. So we're going to talk about that transition as well. And so tell us a little bit of, with all due respect, who is Charmain?
Yeah. So I have to start at the source. I'm the daughter of Catherine and Dalton. Grew up on a small island called Barbados and watched my parents do, they had these hustles on the side of their 9 to 5s. They had back then, selling food, selling products. My mom transitioned from a 9 to 5 and went full-time entrepreneurship. And so I saw her hustle, I saw her grind. So that's in my blood. Lots of family members who had side hustles or were entrepreneurs. And I think that when you grow up with very little, right, you have to learn how to make do. So that's a big piece. I knew very early on I wanted to be a psychologist. And so that was a journey, a pursuit of mine. And I'm excited to be successful in achieving that. But as a founder, right, I think many of us, when we when we have an idea, we've experienced some kind of challenge in our life, we think about, okay, how can I help others? And a lot of founders, a lot of business owners start businesses because of some struggle that they had. And mine was finding a therapist as a therapist of color, right? So that's how I started. I started with InnoPsych, really wanted to shift the stigma around mental health, really wanted to have people have different narratives about mental health and their own healing. And that was actually started with my own journey, which I actually didn't realize that I also needed this journey of healing for myself. So that's a little bit about me and what drives me. I'm very passionate about this work. I love being a mental health advocate and educator. And I love ensuring that people have the resources that they need to thrive.
Resources come in very different forms. As an entrepreneur, we often talk about resources, and I say align one of those S's, but there are resources that we need, within ourselves and from our community. And one of them is being, looking at our well-being. And so let me ask you, we went through sort of Black mental health through the context of being a Black entrepreneur and a woman. What was the transition, or what have you learned or discovered? Are there unique experiences for those that are Black entrepreneurs when it comes to our mental wellness? And then let alone, Dr. Jackman, I mean, you notice as a clinician, as an entrepreneur, maintaining the wellness, a part of that is addressing any illness or issues. But my first thing, just being transparent, that comes to mind is we don't even have time to we may feel depressed. We may get, as recently as this morning, get anxious about something. And I got anxious. I had a show to do. You know what I mean? I just use that as an example. Are there differences for Black people when it comes to entrepreneurship in the vein and context of our mental wellness?
Yeah. Can I start first by just, I want to say, excuse me, one of the things that I actually wasn't aware of prior to becoming a full-time entrepreneur is about the mental health struggles that entrepreneurs in general face. We don't talk about it, Jimmy. We don't talk about it enough. Entrepreneurs put on the good face. Things are well, things are good, right? Sometimes we are stepping out on faith and people around us don't believe in our vision. So we can only talk about what's working with our vision, right? We don't talk about the anxiety. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about the financial struggles and how that impacts our mental health. So that was something that I learned real quick as a full-time entrepreneur. And then what most psychologists do, I went to research it. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing. We don't talk about it. And so a lot of people end up suffering in silence because there's shame around the struggles, right? Your company, entrepreneurship is like a wave. It's up and down, right? There are days that are well, and like you get the partnership, you get and then in that same day, you could get something that is dramatic, that you lose money or you look at your bank account, right? And it's humbling, right? And so we don't talk about this journey. And so a lot of people end up suffering in silence because there's a lot of shame around that. So I think then when you add then our identity as people of color, I would say people of color in general have less access to money and capital. Sometimes we've experienced financial trauma, we've experienced money trauma. That becomes a part that you're dealing with, you're navigating then again as a business owner and trying to figure out your money, get your money right, as you launch your business. If you don't have good money practices, if you don't have good financial literacy, it will show up in your business. So that becomes a stressor, right? How you manage your books, having access to mentor, I see your head nod, Jimmy, having access to mentorship, right? How you around this path. I've been fortunate to participate in a number of accelerators, and every one of them I've learned something about business, but also about myself. And so those are things that we kind of lack. So sometimes you may have your own mental health struggle coming into this, and then it gets amplified. because of the journey of entrepreneurship is not a smooth one. It's not a direct, start here, go, and end, wherever your goals are, right? The other thing is like the time that you think something's going to happen is very different in reality. You're like, oh my God, I got this brilliant idea. People are going to jump on it. It's going to be on and popping. And then it's not.
And then it's not. Go ahead.
And then it's not, right? It takes time. And so sometimes we see people's success and we don't understand the struggle behind it. There's no overnight success, right? There are things that you've had to do, networking, relationships you have to build. So I think that on the journey of entrepreneurship, it takes a lot of time. I think, Jimmy, we have talked about the hard to shut off, right? Because it's like, these are your goals. Like, it's on you, it's on your back. And so you're going to put everything you have. But then that becomes a place where you're not taking care of your wellness. You're not sleeping enough, right? I've been there. I'm still there some days, right? If I'm being honest. So that shut off, like there's nobody telling you go to bed because you're grown up.
Or I was going to say or eat or drink, but I have to admit there's some folks in here that when I get ready to log off, my mother and Miss Teresa, eat/drink, eat, drink, Jimmy. Thank God for Brother Newt. Once in a while when I get the rambling, he'll say, yeah, you need to go to bed. But Dr. Jackman, there's so much to unpack there because I'll use myself as an example that, and I'll be honest, when my finances aren't where I need them to be, for me, it's a blockage because I am an analytical thinker. I unfortunately have a vivid, futuristic imagination. And when that imagination is influenced by, as you said, my bank account, it becomes a blockage. And so with that, a few years ago, I had this segment called Black Mental Wealth, to where we talk about, as you said, our attitude around money. I will own that I have not always been the best steward of blessings, money. I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
To your point about what we deal with, let me ask the next question. With all of that considered, how important is it, with all of those things going on, that entrepreneurs, beyond the trend, beyond the sexy, getting your nails done and, hair did and stuff, massage.
Yeah.
Why must we prioritize our wellness? And I know we're talking in the mental health space, but I believe you agree as an expert, the mental space contributes to our physical. Absolutely. Lack of sleep, not eating right, not hydration, and then the mental, they all play off each other. With that being said, to be successful, why must we prioritize our wellness? And I saw that smile. So you're about to lay us out here. Why?
Yeah. So I ended up, it's super important. And I'll say why, and then I'll share a strategy that I have developed. So like you mentioned, it's all connected, right? Excuse me. Our mental health and our physical health is connected. I tell business owners that I coach, you have to be at the center of the business, right? You have to prioritize your health and well-being, because if you're not well, it's going to show up in the business. The business is not going to be well.
And if you're public facing, I had someone come on one day and she looked in the camera and said, James, if you're not well, we're not well, meaning the audience and those that I engage. And so I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And so for many of us, we think the business should be at the center and then everything else works around that. But no, you have to be at the center of the business. Again, a lesson I have had to learn over time. And so I recently wrote a book called The Black Therapist's Guide to Private Practice and Entrepreneurship. In that book, there's a whole chapter on the entrepreneur well-being, because I know it needed to be in there because we don't talk about it. And I created this soul care well-being wheel, which consists of 7 daily practices that you can do every day to prioritize your well-being. And so they cover movement, right? That physical health, nutrition, that hydration. I said, what you feed yourself, spirituality, social support. You need a community. You need a community of accountability partners. You need to be around people. You need to not be alone figuring out this business on your own, right? There's a routine, there's rest, and then there's mental space. And that mental space is about, excuse me, that mental space is about taking time to just pause. For me, it's like sometimes sitting in the car for 5 minutes before I go in the house, right? It's just time. Maybe it's something you read. I have a practice now of starting my day reading the daily bread, right? So joining that spirituality as part of my routine. So you need these routines to help you be well, to help you, get your day going, like to get your day going with energy and purpose and intention. Because as a full-time entrepreneur, it's on you. You decide the routines. You decide how that day is going to play out, what is important. So it's really important to make sure you're starting your day with intention, so you understand how you're going to move through your day to gain success, to focus on the goals that you have for your business.
That is one of the major things that I have attempted over and over again, to get a routine. And I think, Dr. Jackman, if I may ask, do we have to lock ourselves into a particular routine from conditioning? There are some practices in conditioning that come from cultures that don't take into consideration our hustle, our bustle. You're a mom, you're a wife, but you still see patients, maybe. So do we need to liberate ourselves in the space of how we do things as Black entrepreneurs? The 9 to 5, a nice office setup, and I'm learning, Dr. Jackman, to my point. I've attempted to do the discipline and the, get up at 7, and it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Can we be flexible and be hybrid, a la carte, to have a successful business? Or is the thing of getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, a routine? Where's the balance of our ability to work what's best for us?
I love that question, Jimmy. And so I'll say this. So when I worked at a high school for 17 years, and I was locked into a particular routine. And I realized, like, the first year that I was full-time entrepreneur, I was working for somebody else. And then I had this moment, I was like, wait a minute, what are you doing? This doesn't work for you. And I've had conversations with other people, and they've said the same thing. It's kind of like your body's just used to this thing. And then I realized, like, no, I can make my routine what works for me. So I think it is important to have a routine, to have a way that you begin your day and a way that you end your day, like those bookends. But what time you start and end your day, that's on you, right? So I think we have the flexibility. And so but it is important, but you need intention around it, because there was then a point where I was like a teenager, like, I'll get up whatever time I want, right? And then you're running a business. You can't run a business like that, right? So I think it's okay for your rhythm. If your rhythm for you starts at 10, that's okay. Then it may go. So it's interesting, because for me now, it's evolved, right? So one of the things that I appreciate about being an entrepreneur, and one of the reasons I wanted to move full-time, is to be more present for my family. So part of my day ends now at 3:00, because I go pick up my kids, and my intention is not to be on the phone making calls, to be really present with them. And then I come home, I make dinner, we have some family time, and then I may do a couple more hours, right, in the evening. That works for me, right? That works for my rhythm. And that's a routine that I appreciate, right? So you get to decide, but I think there is an important to having a routine, because it can be very easy for the day to get away from you, if there's no intention around your day.
So what I heard from you, and I'm going to apply this to me, and I kept promising myself, we are not going to turn this into a Java with Jimmy.
It's all good. It's all good. Look, get it when you can.
But also, I think, for folks that are watching, putting myself out there may be helpful to them.
Yeah.
What I heard from you was, okay, presently, as of Sunday, I started trying to get up at 7:15, 7:30. I read my affirmation. I stretch, drink water, and take some supplements in the morning. I am up, Dr. Jackman, at like anywhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. And so I said, okay, I'm going to stick to my routine, and I'm just going to be on the phone and till 7:15 so I can get in a routine. What I'm hearing from you is that be intentional, have a routine, but for you, it may not be always at 7:15. On Monday, it could be 4:30. On Wednesday, it could be 7. But when you do get up, have a routine that starts your day.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think?
I mean, I think it sounds like you have different rhythms. Things are going on for you that you may need to be up a little bit earlier. I would say, what time are you going to bed, Jimmy?
Anywhere between 11 and 12:30. So I average about 4.5 on a good night, 6 hours, 4.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah. So I would say that's the piece to think about, to expand. And I get you. I see you. I'm one of those people. Look, I am one of those people. And what I say, like, I can function in 4.5 hours. It's a lie. It's a lie. I'm tired. I am not as focused. I don't have as much clarity when I have 4.5 hours versus when I have 6 hours. So it's a thing I had convinced myself, like you can, and yes, I can function, but it's not pretty. So
I
right.
And you're not to your best capacity. And as an entrepreneur, if you want to get, if I can use this terminology, if you want to get the bag, your point here in this part is that you do have to prioritize wellness and take care of yourself.
You do.
And so what I heard there additionally was, and we talk about it, but prioritize sleep.
Prioritize sleep. So that is something it's been on my to-do list forever. I would joke about it. I'm getting serious about it because it does impact your health. And like you feel foggy if you just feel tired, you feel drained, you drink more tea or coffee, you're eating, snacking more because you're trying to stay awake. So I actually started this year, I read Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hershey. And I have a rest journal that I've started. So I journal, not every night, but I journal 2 or 3 times a night. And what has been helpful is like, I've been challenging some of the messages that I grew up with about sleep, the myths I have about sleep, and how my body, how much sleep my body needs. So I kind of reflect on that, and that's been really eye-opening. Sometimes I get in these bad spins where it's like, if there's some major thing coming up, I think that's how my anxiety shows up. So I want to make sure I get everything done, make sure my workshop is on point. And so I'll stay up longer. But then I'm not as again, I feel tired, I feel drained during the day. So it's definitely a process. And I think if your body has been attuned to a certain amount of hours, it takes a lot of work to retrain your brain. The other book I read recently was The Power of Habit. So that's been really helpful to think about my habits and how to change some of the cues. But so those are ways that I'm actively trying. And I think once I get this thing knocked, right. But it's, that's part of our journey. And I think, sometimes there is shame around oh my God, I'm up at this time. I got to schedule my email to go out at a respectable time. Right. And so there's a lot of pressure, but like you, Jimmy, I share my story around it. I we're not perfect beings. So, but it's something that I'm actively working on.
My question is, or sort of an observation, and then question is, what you just described is what a lot of us as Black entrepreneurs will classify on social media: 24/7, grind, don't stop, team,
Mhm.
no sleep, hustling,
Mhm.
grinding.
Yeah.
And so to the point of, changing our paradigm shift, can we talk a little bit about our culture being Black people and our relationship with obtaining and maintaining and sustaining, if you will,
Mhm.
wealth? Because that we've been conditioned to go hard. Team, I mean, question in real time. Does that conditioning come from? I had a therapist on yesterday, and she talked about the trauma and things in our DNA.
Mhm.
And I'll ask the question: What is our? Do you believe that our hustle has a lot to do with some of the trauma, some of the results of the system
Mhm.
constraints? You mentioned we don't have a lot of startup capital. Do they play off each other based on what we deal with as Black entrepreneurs? And then again, I have to keep throwing in, respectfully, you understand what I'm saying. Don't be a woman, because then it's even more exponentially
Yeah.
compounded.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, yeah. So you're going deep today, Jimmy.
Because well, listen, I know who I have in the room, and when
Yeah.
these things come up, I take, with all due respect, full advantage of your time, because
Yeah.
if I'm dealing with it, somebody watching or in the after watch is going to get a nugget from here. So
No, it's a really powerful question, and absolutely our generational history in this country. Um, we have to account that, right? That they say generational trauma extend 14 plus generations, right? So there's definitely makeup in our genes about what it means to work, right? Our ancestors were forced to work on unbearable conditions. So there's a bit of that in our genes, but it's also in the systems that we operate in, right? So we have systems that don't value our humanity, they don't value our well being. And so they're forced, we're forced to work in certain ways. I'm doing a workshop tomorrow on negotiation, and part of that research, Black women in particular and Black men get paid much lower on the dollar than a white male. So our hours of work are not as valued. So we have to do all these other things to make up that dollar, right? And so those are the systemic issues. We're seeing Black women emerge as one of the fastest growing segments of entrepreneurship. But it's still hard for us to access capital. Geez. Oh, guys, if the data, right? The data, you think about venture capital, right? Many of us aren't looking to start venture capital companies, but the women of color, I think Black women is like 0.1%, 0.01%. It's like abysmal, right? The amount of access that we have to some of those capital. When we go in to get loans, right, we have face harsher restrictions, higher interest rates. So all of these things make it so we have to fund our own businesses, and that might mean working a full-time job, working a second-time job, and then having our hustle, right? So all of these things we're trying to navigate. And I saw that with my mom, right? My mom, she was working a full-time job, then she, while she was starting her business, and she went full-time, but then she was working all the time, right? So we're seeing these things. These are the things, and we do the things we need to do in order to make our business succeed. But that takes a toll on us. And so I'm really entering this season with a different perspective on how I run my business, right? I have two teenagers now, so mom of two, and I want to be around for them. I want to be in a healthy way. My husband is a full-time entrepreneur as well. So we're navigating this thing, and I think my husband, he has a sleep thing on lock. So he's like 9 o'clock, he's like, bye.
have you ever looked over at him and he's snoring? No, no, respectfully, he's sleeping. Have you ever looked at him and said, And he has sleep on lock.
He has his sleep on lock. And so I need to learn from that. But then I'm like, well, the kids are still up. Somebody got to be up with these kids, right? So, but I'm naturally a night owl. So yeah, so I think that all of these things are present. But I think we can also like, I think one of the things that I've also learned and seen for myself, right? Sometimes we're hustling because we're focusing on quantity and not quality, right? So sometimes we also face like our pricing, right? If we price things, people want to challenge our price, people want the hookup, right? All of these things, and then we're discounting our services. That means we got to hustle more to get, you know, what we need to cover our expenses.
Dr. Jackman, I am
Yes, sir.
actively, and this, I think I'll ask you to speak to this too. I am actively in conversation with someone now that one conversation,
Mhm.
a corporation, I know the amount of the contract, and I'm like, 5 figures,
Mhm.
5 figures.
Mhm.
Another conversation is a lower sort of number, but then the point is that, you know, there is an ask to add an additional client. And, you know, and they may be watching, so I think they get the principle, but I had to push back and say, hey, adding this additional client, why don't we do this? This is
Mhm.
the increased price point, but now you have 2 clients. First
Mhm.
client now gets decreased, and you put on this other price point to the additional client.
Mhm.
To that, I have from my experience, I had being broke enough will help you help them appreciate your value.
Mhm.
The other part of that I want to ask is I was raised in church. I'm from
Mhm.
nonprofit. I'm from community. There's that servant, you
Mhm.
know, and I'm a social entrepreneur. This platform
Mhm.
came into existence by serving.
Mhm.
Months later, I said, oh, well, I and some
Mhm.
words of encouragement, James, this is a business.
Yeah.
How do we factor that we talk about Black entrepreneurship? A lot of
Yeah.
us come out of whether Muslim, Christian, whatever, there's a servitude piece, and then don't come out of the nonprofit community public health space.
Mhm.
How do we transition those very good servitude you talked about, folks not letting us be or not looking at our humanity? How do
Mhm.
we serve humans as a social entrepreneur in business and get away from this? Is it false humility? Is it imposter sin?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
I hear you. Yeah. So I'll tell you, I had to add this piece on. You can't really see
You
it
better
'cause
come on. Oh, yes, you can. Hold on. Go ahead.
oh, so I'm gonna read it to you because it's kind of so
Go
this is
ahead.
a book. This is a book. So it says turn your passion to profit while doing good and protecting your peace. So naming all of those things, right? So I think as so you've named all those different things, being in the church, you want to serve. Therapists are the same way. We don't want to deal with money, right? We come to help and to heal. And so, but we can't operate our businesses if if we're not making money, right? We can't pour back into our businesses. And if we don't charge right, I have a whole chapter on pricing, then that might mean you got to close your doors. So then you can't you can't do the things you want to do, right? So for us, it's not about like, so I've actually been having this conversation recently with BIPOC folks. Making a profit doesn't mean exploitation, right? And separate the two of those things, right?
Can you say that again for the people in the back?
Making a profit does not mean exploitation. And so we're in this capitalist culture where like people are exploited. And so we think that because someone's making a profit, that they're exploiting others. And that's not true. Excuse my voice. I know what's going on today. Give me one.
Go ahead. We do this all the time, Dr. Jackman. Taking tips, tech messes up and whatnot. You are so good because the nuggets coming out of this conversation today are amazing and helpful.
Yeah. So I think, you have to make a profit in order to be able to pour back into your business. You have to, I think the money piece is really important and really hard sometimes for Black entrepreneurs, but it's something we need to really understand, right? We need to be able to read our financial statements. We need to be able to project our income. And I think the unfair thing that can happen, again, like I mentioned, like, right? So we have people who love the work we do, and some people will definitely support us, will honor our price. I have people who said, no, I'm going to pay you full price because I understand it. And then there are people who will like want to exploit that relationship sometimes, right? They don't understand what it takes for you to do what you're doing. Similar to you, Jimmy, I started InnoSight was this free directory, right? And it was just about serving. It was just about us addressing a need. And then I had mentors say, well, if you're not making money, it's not a business.
Can I add another piece there? And I said this to a provider recently. You have this referral process, with all due respect to those helping and healing in our clinical space, they bill. They're third-party billers, which means that there's some level, we're not going to judge, but there's some level of revenue. That list, I'm sure, created revenue for some therapists. And so I just wanted to state that, because sometimes in this platform, I'll get asked, hey, can you bring such and such on? And can you have a conversation with them? All right, well, what's your budget? Oh, we don't have a budget. You getting paid to shop them to, sorry, this is not a therapy session. But I needed to make that point, Dr. Jackman, because to your point of our value being depreciated, it is. And some people don't do it with intent. We get limitations. We get getting the best of squeezing a dollar till it hollers. But I got bills to pay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a whole thing that I haven't posted it yet, but like the same thing about speaking. I get asked to speak for free a lot. I'm like, but you're getting paid because you have a salary, right? So, and then for me to show up for your thing, it's going to cost me
gas, time, that outfit who's going to wear to something else. You got to put now back in the clean. Sorry.
Yeah. So again, people don't think about that when they're making these asks, and they need to, right? And so, but it's for us to be able to say that. We don't have to get aggressive with them, but to say that this is what this will cost me, or I'd love to support, but here's what I'm going to need in exchange, right? So I talk a lot sometimes about non-monetary contributions that you can get. Do I get access to your email attendee list, right? Because then I can monetize that, right? Is there an exchange? You have an annual event, so put me on your sponsorship for that level of what you would have paid me, right? So I've found a way to ask for other things, right? So it's not just me showing up and feeling resentful, because then we want to do the thing, but we can also feel resentful about that because people are not honoring your time and your expertise.
We're going to have to do a part 2 and maybe an after dark on this, and really, because, and I keep going back to this a lot lately with what's going on nationally, with people saying that we haven't seen the worst of things. Poverty, having to close your business. I posted something yesterday of a Black woman that, and they're going to be good, but reading the words closing their doors, as a business person, as a brother to them, it hit me. And I got in the thing of, oh shoot, while I'm waiting on payments and stuff. There's just Dr. Jackman, it is 10:46 and I told you 45 minutes. A couple of things I want to ask about that are important. And I have been, folks, please know, Dr. Jackman has referred to a couple of books, but if you get to this one, I'm sure you can get to the other ones on the Java with Jimmy page, and also on the James Hills page, Instagram. I'm sorry, I'll post it. We can't post on Instagram right now. There is a active hyperlink to, and let me get this right, Dr. Jackman, because we got all these wonderful, you don't even need the graphic. Okay, that's the book that you can go and get, but it can lead you also to other books, and we'll share Dr. Jackman's website as well. One of the things that you mentioned, and I have to talk about this because at my at my last 2 jobs working for someone, both of my supervisors felt for some reason inclined to tell me that, James, we think that your next move, you should be your own boss. Both of them, I remember as plain as day, both situations.
Yeah.
There's an advantage to that.
Mhm.
But the disadvantage I found for me, I hold myself accountable to the community around the information. How do you as a boss, I'll cut to the question because of time.
Mhm.
How do you as a boss hold yourself accountable? And then is it, we can go a little bit deeper for a few seconds. Is it your tribe, your circle around you? Because being a boss,
Mhm.
you don't report to nobody. In my case, I feel obligation accountable to my community, but
Yeah.
on some other things, like I do what I want to do when I want to do, how I want. And
You don't get written up. You don't get no written up.
I don't get written up, or if I, show up at 9:59 to start the show, don't nobody know but me. But then I'm dealing with anxiety after the show. I'm a little bit depressed because I'm like, oh, that could have been better had I prepared. Just to be fully transparent. So, how do we as bosses create systems of accountability to be better?
Yeah. I love that. I love that question. I feel like it's always, for me, it's always ongoing. Um, so I think part of the thing that I've been really focused on right now is my health. And so that means I'm working. I have a gym membership. So I have three days a week. I'm at the gym working out. So that's one thing. So right now I'm scheduling it in my calendar. And so that's the huge accountability. If it's in the calendar, it has to get done, right? So that's really huge. I have a network of fellow entrepreneurs who are keeping me accountable as well. We meet weekly, and there's a place where I share my goals. Where get feedback. There are people who are holding my foot to the fire. I think my family as well, like I have accountability to them, but they don't know the in and outs of things. So, sometimes I get away, like I get away. The boss isn't kind of looking there.
Yep.
And then I think for me, it's like, okay, so, what is my goal? What are my revenue goals? What are my profit margin goals, right? And so how am I day to day matching that up? Sometimes I drop the ball, if I'm being honest, right? But then it's like, okay, look at your bank accounts. What information is that bank account giving you? Right?
Your bank account will tell you how much you're self-caring and how productive you really are, or
Yes.
are not. And can I say one other thing? Sometimes, and I need to name this for us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you've done everything you're supposed to do, and you got vendors and clients that are 45-day payers intentionally. My thing is, if I send you an invoice on the 4th, I'm expecting payment on the 18th. And we need to talk about that as well, because people sitting and not paying us, taking forever to pay us is interesting. You 3 weeks in and you think, well, dag, I'm in that account every day checking this. I'm sorry, go ahead. This is not going to be
I think love it. Understanding your contracts, right? It's huge piece to that. Understanding your contracts and your payment terms.
Yes.
What else would I think? I think the accountability, mindsets, right? So
Yes.
I talk a lot about in the book about mindset shifts that we have to make, right? And so, are we operating from scarcity, right? Are we operating from fear, right? Are we really stepping into our power as business owners and showing, like, at the end of the day, we're showing up for ourselves. And so, yes, so every day may not look the same, every day may not be pretty, but on the whole, when you look back at your week, right, what does that look like for you? Have you made movement on the things that you have said? So I think it's really, I do a lot of goal setting. And I've been working even more recently on, like, okay, what are my targets for the week, right? So that helps me show up. So that then I look, okay, at the end of the week, I'm like, okay, you hit here, you didn't hit here, But you have to have things you're looking at. You have to have goals and targets that you're trying to hit, your metrics. That's going to be your accountability for sure.
I definitely appreciate that. I was just telling Newt, my forever manager, that I need to get a whiteboard. I as much as I'm a tech guy, so I got my Apple Pen and I'm writing in Notability on the iPad.
Yeah.
I need a whiteboard. I do. And then, you know, they say that maybe at some point we can also not so much talk about learning styles, maybe working styles could maybe be the next segment, because I'm finding as we get ready to wrap up, and I want to remind folks the link on James and Java, YouTube, and other folks, I'm sorry, we'll go to the Facebook page and we'll post the link. But the link to the book for Dr. Jackman is here. And Dr. Jackman, if you don't mind, can you in the private chat put the InnoPsych website so folks can generally see what you're doing? Absolutely. But you know, I'm realizing that it is imperative to prioritize, as you said, the healthcare, the self-care, but also balance. I lost my train of thought getting into promotion. But you know, the self-care piece, just doing some recap, accountability is what we were talking about. I'm sorry. That accountability piece is huge. And so I want to, there was something I was going to ask about as we get ready to wrap up, but it left my mind.
That's so good.
I want to make sure that, you know, maybe we have you come back soon and we talk about working styles. It's as much as we don't want to admit it, man, we're different. We tend to be more visual. We tend to, you know, want to see the end game quicker, and we want to start here. We want to get there. And ain't nobody talking about the hyphen.
Yeah.
You know,
and I love that work styles, learning styles, right? Do you have ADHD? How does that impact your focus and your commitment and your execution on your goals? So I think those are really important ones that we don't. I think today we talked a lot about the anxiety and depression, but we didn't mention ADHD. That's a huge one for entrepreneurs.
I said, but so I'll end with this. One of my best friends from high school was over one day, and I'd been telling, you know, you don't ever answer your phone and you only got 3 minutes and I can't talk to you. So one day they came over, we were talking, and I was on email. I got a phone call. The TV was on, and he just leaned back and nicely said to me, you know, bro, I think you might have a little bit of ADHD. And I looked at him and I said, and the reason I gave him an attitude, because when you're in these clinical spaces that I've been in for the past 20 or 25 years, you're there to analyze, in my case, not analyze, to learn about your clients, young people. Dr. Jackman, I used to sit in those workshops and take notes and be like, oh, that's why, you know, it's for me. And so there, we do have to, we'll end with this. We talked a lot about wellness and we didn't go too deep into it, but sometimes we hustle so much and aren't in systems or don't follow through with a vision. I can sit and write my week out. Wonderful. It looks beautiful. It's an Outlook and all that.
Yeah.
Something doesn't make a connection. And so we need to talk about hustling, and it may be a less of a hustle if we address looking at it. You may not want to accept the diagnosis, but if you got ADHD ways, or you're a little ADHD-ish, you know, how we frame it, you know, in our community. But this has
understanding how your brain works, right? It's so important. Yeah.
And I think that lends to me, you know, I want to do the 9 to 5. I have a, you know, studio office and I want to be at the desk and whatnot. But I found that if I'm in the bed at 10:30 at night with my laptop, it's something I get 7 things done in a half an hour.
Yeah.
That took me 6 hours not to get done, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I ain't gonna slip into a therapy session.
Love it.
I love this.
Yes.
I love this. Insight, and let's just speak of InnoPsych. I tried to put it in the hyperlink. Come on, y'all, on Facebook. Okay, there it is. Come on. Okay, there it is. So if you're watching on Java with Jimmy and also on James W. Hills on Facebook, the link is right there that you can go and get all information about InnoPsych. And then also you can get the book that's hyperlinked to the comments as well. and you better do it for the
I
advertisement.
know, and it says for therapists, but look, it's for any entrepreneur.
You
So
can be your own therapist.
lots of tips in there for mindset shifts, all the barriers that we face, the cognitive distortions that we have about entrepreneurship. Yeah, so it's packed with lots of good information.
One last question, if you don't mind, off
Absolutely.
topic but related. Past couple of years, a lot of Black men in Boston have experienced losing a lot of their brothers. On yesterday, our brother Mark Harris, who was a personality in the radio industry in the city, he transitioned and is now an ancestor. We're acknowledging that and sending
Yeah,
love to his family,
yeah.
the Urban Heat family this morning. And Brother Marv is an entrepreneur. But Brother Marv has shepherded, you get that. He has supported a lot of his personalities and staff on the radio station. And so if I could generally ask you to speak to men that are dealing with compounded exponential grieving, and what it is that just anything I would not have you here as a clinician and being aware of that, if you don't mind, just to ask you to speak to a couple of seconds of that, please.
Yeah, I think it's really important for grief. Like a lot of us, we grieve in community, right? Sometimes sometimes we don't want to talk about stuff because we're worried about we're going to trigger somebody else, we're going to make someone cry. But I think it's really important to acknowledge grieving. There's usually rituals, right? Whether it's, going to the funeral, the memorial service, or the repast, right? Those community activities help us to honor the person's memory, but also to do it in community. So I would say that if many of us, we've lost people, right? Grief is part of the human experience, but don't bottle up your feelings, right? Honor them, allow them to come out in whatever way feels right, whether it's singing, screaming in the shower, right? Crying. It's okay to cry, to honor, writing, art, whatever mode or that feels natural, but find space to do that. And the best place is often to do in community.
I definitely appreciate that. And it just crossed my mind as we was getting ready to wrap up. So thank you. It speaks to just the wealth of knowledge that you have in general as a clinician, but coming with that Black woman, respectfully, Black girl, Black woman, magic as well. And so Dr. Jackman, thank you so much for today.
Jimmy.
And I'll be following up about some more conversation in this space.
Sounds good, Jimmy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Have a great day. Hope this was helpful.
The day it was, whether you check the comments when you get a chance. They're in here. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
I hope you all got something out of today with Dr. Jackman. Being an entrepreneur is a experience. It's funny that yesterday a memory of a post came up that talked about entrepreneurship not being for the faint of heart, especially when you didn't start out to be an entrepreneur. You just started out to help. So we're going to get ready to wrap up. I am contemplating maybe taking a break tomorrow. So I'll let you know in the morning. But I will, nothing. I just may take a break and extend my weekend, from Thursday to Tuesday. As Dr. Jackman said, the self-care, to plan, to reset. We got the anniversary technically on Tuesday, and I'll just leave that there. All right. Thank you all for being here this morning. Before we go, just wanted to share some information with you that we have been sharing for the past week or so, of an event that you can attend sponsored by the Boston Lesbian Gay Urban Foundation. We'll be back with you on the other side of this commercial.
Know Better, Live Better is a community-centered campaign connecting people of color to HIV prevention, testing, treatment, and sexual health care without judgment and without pressure. Right here in our community. And there are many other sites ready to support you too. Because care should meet you where you are. And knowledge should feel empowering.
Visit lesbiangayurbanfoundation.org/live better to see all care sites and get connected.
So make sure you check out jwj.info/blue BLU for Boston Lesbian Gay Urban Foundation. That's it for us this morning. Please make sure you plan to, I'll let you know if we're here in the morning, but definitely tomorrow at 10 p.m., we will be featured on Phoenix Fire's platform. And on Friday, your boy is going to sit over with Danielle Johnson, Antoinette Johnson, and Brother Tristan over at Spark FM. And according to the email I got yesterday, I'm not doing a half an hour. Tony said that I'm going to be kidnapped for the morning. So we're going to be over with Spark FM this Friday starting at 9:30 p.m. 9:30 a.m. So that is on Friday, March 20th, Spark FM. And then tomorrow night at 10 p.m., we will be with Phoenix Fire on her platform. So please plan to watch, support both of those platforms. Also, again, I want to ask you to keep the family, the friends, and the industry associates in your prayers. Those that were co-workers, family members, and loved ones of Brother Mark Harris. Seeing him in community through the years, I would always be like, I know this dude from somewhere. Tony Creech posted the other day and said, do you remember him from TMC? Tenant Management Corporation was the entity over in Bromley Heath where I grew up. And so putting together now after the fact that that's why he looked familiar is interesting. But again, and I'm going to ask you all to particularly keep Brother Marvette Neal in your prayers. He is the CEO of Urban Heat, and he has been supporting a lot of people who have experienced a lot of loss, and then dealing with the loss himself of the people that he knew himself while supporting their family members and loved ones. So if you know Brother Marv, shoot him a text, hit him up on Facebook, talk a little bit of trash to him. That's my guy. I love and appreciate him. And so I'm asking you to keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well. All right, that's it for us today. And tentatively, we will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I think I got everything and everybody. Mother, I will let you know whether we do 10 a.m. tomorrow. And Dina, thank you so much for that. I'm not going to get to comments because we'll be here for another whatever. And y'all got another 90 minutes today. So it's 11:05. We'll see y'all 10 to